Hello and welcome to the Celtic Huddle podcast. I'm Mark Wilson. Today I'm joined by another couple of Celtic legends. First of all, we have everyone's favourite, Frank McAvennie, and also a man that knows lots about a 10-in-a-row season is Murdo MacLeod. Thanks for joining us, guys.
No problem.
Cheers, Mark.
Thank you.
Simon Donnelly, housewife's favourite, having a wee rest this weekend. All about squad rotation nowadays, yes. Murdo, you know what it's like.
Yeah, it must be murder for these players who want to play week in, week out. And the manager's telling you, oh no, you're going to have a wee rest this weekend.
Well, Simon's having a wee rest, but he'll be with us next weekend. Okay, we're a brand new podcast, and every week we take you behind the scenes in depth and talk about all things Celtic, the week gone by, the week coming up, and lots to discuss. And Frank, first and foremost, last week first show, lots of great feedback, lots of great things in social media. The big question is, how many bottles of that gin did you sell that you were plugging?
I think I've sold a lot. I've not been paid for it yet, but anyway, I think it's a lot.
That's a surprise, is it
not? I can't believe I've not received a free bottle yet, though.
I know. I've told them to bring you one, but I mean.
Ah, well, okay. All right. Well, coming up, busy show today. We've got lots of things to discuss. Celtic's result and performance on Sunday in the 3-3 draw against Aberdeen. We'll also look at Neil Lennon, discuss what he needs to do to get back to winning ways. Obviously, the big talking point this week is criticism of Shane Duffy. Scott Brown left out the team as well as a talking point. Should he be an automatic first pick? And a look ahead to Thursday night against Leo and the massive William Hill Scottish Cup semi-final against Aberdeen on Sunday. So a huge week ahead. But let's start with Sunday's game against Aberdeen. Murdo, 3-3, 2 points dropped, 6 behind Rangers. Should we be worried at this early stage?
No, not at all. I think a lot of people are beginning to get a wee bit worried just because of the performances just now. Obviously, the European tie during the week against Milan, first half was very poor. But second half, Celtic came out more like Celtic. They were pushing them. They were getting round about Milan players. Then they got the goal and you thought, there's a wee chance here of getting something out of this game. When you felt in the first 45 minutes it was nothing's going to happen here. But Milan, very classy side, good side. But at the weekend, getting into the game, Aberdeen, for me, I wouldn't, if Scott Brown's fully fit, he's in my team. Because even when he doesn't play well, he's got a mouth, it pushes people on. And that's what we need just now. We need players, because I just felt there's a lot of players just getting into a wee shell just now and not producing the performances. And Aberdeen, they looked the far better side. They looked as if they wanted to win the game more than Celtic, and that's what we can't have as teams like Aberdeen, who Celtic's got a magnificent record against, especially up at Pittodrie, and not to turn up. And then at one point, the change happened. Griffiths comes on, and goal. Then you get in front. You think, well, that's game over for Celtic's going to win this game. And again, mistakes at the back, giving away a silly challenge.
I think that's been the biggest problem that Lenny's he's got to draw attention to. It's individual mistakes. You can work all week, yourself. You can work all week in training, and then the weekend, if there's individual mistakes, you can't compensate for that.
Well, that's what I was going to lead on to that question, Frank. Is it just a blip? Because we've been there, we've all been players, and you go through these stages like this where nothing seems to go right for you. Even your best players make mistakes, and it's game after game. But soon that fades away. Do you think this is just a wee blip, or do you think is this a sign of things to come for the rest of the season, or will it just disappear?
I think the situation with Lenny, I don't think the system he wants to play, I don't think they've got players to do that at the moment. The injuries and all that kind of stuff. I think you've got to get back. When you went back to a back four, and all of a sudden, you're thinking against Milan, you're thinking, well, this is no bad. They're getting on it again, and it didn't work. So I think Frimpong, when he was in the back four, he was too far forward. So their winning goal, if you like, 3-1.
But the likes of Frimpong just now, you're watching him playing, Frank, and he doesn't do. He's asked to play further forward. Yeah. And in the last 2 games, he's not won by. In the last 3 games, he's not won by any defender. And if you're one of the quickest players in Scottish football, you've got to go by. You've got to test the defenders and say, come on, hey, let's have a wee race.
Got to say, I thought Johnny Hayes did well against him on Sunday. Frimpong, I thought he showed him into traffic, and that's where he struggled. But I think they should be, smarter to that Celtic. He needs to learn then to move the ball quicker and play off your striker and get run outside. But in terms of the shape, then Murdo, we just touched on it there. Now Neil's, started the season a 4, went to a 3 once he got people back.
Yeah.
Now looking like he might stick to a 4. Do you think that's the best suited formation?
I think that's the better formation for Celtic, especially at the back, because when you're playing against good sides will stretch your 3 right across the back line, and then all of a sudden there's so many spaces for the midfielders to drive through into your box, and I think that's a problem. And you've got the 2 full-backs, or so-called full-backs, they'll be wing backs, but they're not coming back the full distance.
That's the biggest problem I found. We done it with Celtic. Billy liked to play with 3. Godson, he liked to play with 3 at the back, but we had Chris Morris and Anton Morgan who could run all day, but they never forgot they were defenders. Mm-hmm. So when we lost the ball, they were back. Yeah. So it became.
So you think in that 3,
you can't just stay up there.
Duffy and whoever else has played there has been a bit exposed. Do you think?
I think so. I think they've done the homework.
The flat comes in Duffy.
With the boy Frimpong stays there, and the back 3, and they just put it in there, and Duffy's not got the pace. And I think you got to give credit to Gerrard and and Derek McInnes, because they worked on it.
They did, aye.
They worked on it, and
you could see that.
You could see that, and they done it. I mean, listen, I think we touched on Duffy. I think he made a few mistakes. There's a lot of criticism going about him.
Yeah.
But for me, it's the individual mistakes. I said it earlier. It's when he hit the ball, he tried to flick the ball over his head. 92nd minute. Aye. We're winning.
We'll come on. We'll chat a wee bit more in depth about Duffy later. But in terms of the shape is such a crucial one it seems more crucial for Celtic fans than it does the manager. I think Neil was right after the game on Sunday. You heard him getting a wee bit annoyed when he was asked, and he says, are we on to the shape question again? I think he touched on that as well. You can play any shape you want in the world. If players make mistakes, then you can't do much about it.
I think the team I played in anyway at Celtic, if it wasn't going right, we changed it ourselves.
Change the shape yourself.
You just do it. You go, look, we're getting. You don't need the manager to shout. If somebody's overloading the fullback, you go, well, get somebody over there and sort it out. And we've done it ourselves.
Frank, the game nowadays though are full of young players who need.
But you've got to grow up and grow.
Taken by the hand.
You can't do that. If somebody's, you're talking about teammates. If you're getting overrun, I'll come back and help you. It doesn't, get a hold of the game. And then go back into your formations. But sometimes you just got to help, and that's not coming for the manager. It's just being a teammate.
On pitch management,
and looking at what's happening wherever it may be. If that's a problem, then eventually, if you keep letting that problem happen, then they're going to score. So,
but you're looking down the left-hand side. For me, Laxalt's looking all right. Do you know what I mean?
Like
he's got a great attitude. He's up and down. Again, he's a defender. Frimpong, and I'm sorry I'm mentioning him again, but Frimpong, he's not a defender. He's not a forward. What is he doing?
Touched on that last week. See the last goal AC Milan. He was way out.
He was halfway up the park. He's looking to get forward.
A full-back would have been in there.
To be fair to the boy, playing under Neil, I know that's the way Neil wants his full-backs to play. He wants them to play so high. You look at his full-backs when he's been at Celtic, who he's had Izagiri, you had in my time Chad Uri, you had me, you had all sorts of players.
Tell me about yourself then, playing there.
First,
your thought, are you a defender?
First,
I was
thinking to drive all the way up.
I was always a defender first and foremost, but I understood the game. The game was. I was at the stage that the fullback game was probably, getting to that stage that they were becoming wingers more than defenders, and I was trying to kind of change my game. And then, when I was retiring, I realised I didn't have the pace, what was required to be a fullback. I didn't have what Frimpong's got, or maybe Laxat's got, and the out and out right back defender solid has now died out. But I know that's the way Neil likes to play. He likes his fullbacks taking part in the game.
You can do both, because they're talking about the 2 best in the business as the Liverpool boys. Andy Robertson and Trent Arnold. The 2 of them are the best going forward. But you speak to them when they get spot. I'm a defender.
First and foremost, they've got that right.
And I'm thinking, that's the way But some people just do it and they forget they're different. They forget to get back in. And I think what I touched on earlier, everyone's, I'm all right, Jack, I'll look after myself. You can't do that when you're at Celtic. You've got to, I don't get all this, and that's when, as Murdo says, Scott Brown, he's such an influence. He would be dragging that team, and whether he has to shout at people or whatever. I thought Shane Duffy would have done that, but at the moment, he's got to look after his end game because that's something.
Listen, going from one end then to the other, and a big one for Celtic fans now, they're seeing Lee Griffiths come back into the fold. He's had a long time out, but again, at McDermott Park, he gets thrown on and asked to do a job, and he scores a goal. On Sunday, it was pretty similar. Go on and get us out of this mess, and to be fair, his touch and finish was incredible. Exactly what you get for Lee Griffiths.
Tell me,
you think he should get he's now in position to start?
Well, see this, he's now in the position. How long is it taken to get someone fit?
Well, we touched that last week, didn't
and
we?
I can't.
But whose fault's that? Is that falling the manager? Is that falling the sports science? Is that falling Lee Griffiths?
See if Lee Griffiths, if he's been asked to get himself fit to get into the Celtic team, you'd be fit within a couple of weeks. And now, it's gone back weeks that Lee Griffiths, he's nearly there, he's in the squad and all this kind of thing. Lee Griffiths should have been in the team, never mind the squad, he should have been in the team starting every single game from the start.
You agree with that?
That's not. I think. Listen, I think he's the main guy. I think he is. Apart from Edward, I think he's. Unfortunately, whatever way you look at it, Ajeti and Kamala, the two strikers at Celtic for me is Edward and Griffiths. So and they were starting to look great, and you can, as a striker, the more game time you've got, the better you become. It's not about running, and I hated it when I was doing running. I'd go with my fitness.
A fan of running?
No. On the pitch, I'd run all day. But we used to go around Strathclyde Park, and people say to me, boys are not fit. Well, get them around Strathclyde Park because it got me fit. I didn't want to do it.
Get Griff up to Strathclyde Park.
No,
imagine that. He'd be on that roller coaster on M&D's when he'd be running in it.
You know what I mean? There's ways of getting fit. I think it's just they don't do any more than 100 yards now. The training and all that.
Even the game midweek against Milan, taking them off at half time. What a kick in the backside that is. No, you're playing one of the teams in European football at Celtic Park, albeit no fans. You're out there against a top class side, and your team's really struggled, and they take you off at half time, and you're a striker, and you're thinking
it's as if you're getting to blame it.
You're getting to blame.
And it's nothing to do with it.
You know what I mean?
Nothing to do with up front.
And then all of a sudden, start the second half, then the team's playing much better. So you're sitting there thinking, oh, is this my fault?
I think when he comes on at Pittodrie and he scores a goal is one thing, but I think what he gives you, I think you see the Aberdeen defenders panic when the ball's played in behind and he's chasing things into corner flags. Now, I think Ayeti's a goal scorer. I think he will score goals, but out with the penalty box, he doesn't really contribute. Where I think Griffiths contributes more. So maybe we'll see him more. I think he's done his chances
all
no harm.
Over the place when he comes on, even at St Johnstone.
The
St Johnstone one he comes on.
He just loves being in the last defender. Now, when you've got somebody that just wants to run by you, it's horrible. You know yourself. It's horrible for defenders to go that way.
Yeah.
And I don't see Celtic doing that anymore. There's a space. See, like Gerrard done it. We're talking about it. Gerrard got it, put it in the corners. The Rangers and Aberdeen done it. Defenders don't like that. Don't like turning and running back. And I don't know why Celtic don't do it. I mean, we can't keep passing in the feet all the time. Sometimes you
need a different threat and behind.
Just turn it around and give him something to think about. And then the defenders will not get so close to you. And then the strikers have got that space.
Well, it'll be interesting to see which way the team shapes up this coming week. So, leading on the next point, Neil Lennon. Now, it's amazing some of the scrutiny he's came under at this stage of the season. But Frank, what do you think his overall demeanour on Sunday? Now, I'm reading again a lot on social media, people saying he doesn't care, he sits with his hands in his pockets. Are you buying that? Do you think he looks a wee bit subdued at the minute?
I was a wee bit surprised that when he came in, I just don't understand why he's not got his own man in there. Because he needs to bounce off somebody. I don't care what walk of life it is, what job he's doing. You need somebody you can bounce off. I mean, Wim Jansen with Murdo. So it it was one of them. You can talk to him, and he's big enough to stand up and say, maybe not do that, maybe do this. No disrespect, John Kennedy and the boys Strachan, they're not his guys, so they're not going to tell him. You know, they're not going to do it. Sometimes you get somebody in there, it doesn't matter who it is, but somebody that's like Lenny's can trust and he can talk to. I mean, because
well, Johan, when I was there, Johan Mjalby,
you need to talk to somebody.
Aye, when I was at Celtic, so Lenny got the job, and if I remember this rightly, it was on an interim basis, and he didn't have anybody as his number 2, and I think John Park was kind of filling that role. Yeah. He got the job permanent, and the first guy he brings in is Johan Mjalby. Now, we all know how that partnership went. It was successful, and they both looked comfortable. They both were comfortable. Yeah. Do you think that's, you know, someone along that lines that Neil needs?
Neil needs that, just what Frank is touching on. It's a team. Yeah. You need a team. Yeah. And when you're in a team, you've got to have your arm round the guy beside you, and he's going to help you, and you're going to help him. And that's why you get by a season. That's how you get by a season. But see if you're just sitting there and you're on your own, all the wee negative thoughts are going into your head and no one else to bounce off. Yeah. You know yourself, Frank, when you're sitting in the dugout and you're a sub or something like that, you're listening to the manager, talking to the assistant manager or one of the coaches and having a bounce. What was so-and-so? How's he? Will we change it? Do you want to change it? And then the last round about the dugout, you don't see that at Celtic Park. Everything's just
well, I mean,
waiting for Neil to do it.
I'm looking at the boy Strachan. I mean, he's like that boy at Hearts. You know, he's on the computer. I'm looking at him and I'm saying, would you can't talk to him.
But is that not the modern game now? Is it?
What's he watching?
CBBS.
No, but do you think then? Are you saying that the relationship between Neil and John Kennedy isn't working, or do you not think it's as close?
I think John.
Is there improvements there?
John, I know John. It's John's Kennedy's John Kennedy, but he's not going to come. I don't think he's going to come out and talk to Lenny because he's been there when Lenny got the job, so he's not going to say to Lenny, and Lenny can't go and talk to him. You know, I suppose you can go and talk to him at certain point for certain things, but the majority, I just think Lenny needs somebody he can lean on in there.
It's an interesting point.
You have a go at somebody and then Gary Parker done it. I know they had the problems, but Lenny would shout to somebody and then Gary Parker would put his arm around the guy and say,
he would,
you know, and that's the way it's went in football for years, and sometimes you need that. I'm not talking about just getting in. John Kennedy's doing the coaching, which is fine, but I think you need something in there with Lenny. I think he just needs, you know.
Is that an important part for you, Murdo?
Even watching Lenny, every time the camera goes to Lenny, and it's all the time.
But bear in mind, it's social distancing. You can't really be cuddling each other or sitting in each other's lap just now.
They can do it because they're in a bubble together.
No, but even when the game's going on and you're watching your team playing and you're not happy, you don't see him out having a go and shouting at people a lot. Lenny used to. Lenny last season would be out and shouting at people and telling and trying to drive them on and trying to get the players lifted, and he'll have a word with Scott Brown, and Scott will have a word with the players. That kind of stuff. It goes from the manager to the captain, from the captain to the other players. All the players then know what's going on. The manager's no happy, the captain's no happy, and I think that's what's not happening just now, because you just see Lenny sitting there. They're in a shell, and it's a difficult one, because if the team are playing the way they're playing just now, it's slower and it's not so good. Then you bring on one or two different players, and then these players are in the team and then they're out the team. You know, somebody does a wee turn and then they're out the team. So it's difficult. Lenny's got to get, and he must be fed up listening to people asking about the shape of the team. It's your decision. That's why you're the manager. It's your decision why you're going to put 3 at the back or 4 at the back, and then all of a sudden you go 4 at the back, and everybody, that's what we've got to change. Remember when it was only one striker at Celtic Park? All the fans were going off their head. You've got Celtic in their history.
Everyone's a manager.
Everybody's a manager.
But everybody is now a body language expert. So
everybody was a manager till last night.
Thanks for bringing it up. There's a Celtic Huddle podcast exclusive. I was sacked for Brecon about 10 hours ago, so thanks for bringing that up. Anyway, hi, move
Frank
on.
was very delicate with
let's
that.
not speak about Brecon anymore.
Yeah.
But body language experts, the amount of criticism Neil got from Sunday about sitting on the bench with his hands in his pockets. What I've heard about Neil is that from when I was there at Celtic and when he first got the job and that fire in his belly and coming out of playing and going into coaching, then into management, he was trying to do everything. He
Kicking
was
every ball.
Aye,
So
but I think he's calmed down now. I think he takes a more relaxed approach, even in the dressing room, and I think he fires a few rockets when he needs it.
Does that
But
make
I don't
you
think
better?
he's the same.
Does that make you better if you've calmed down a bit?
Well, I don't know.
What's
I was
what's
sacked. I
football
was
all
sacked
about?
before I could calm down. I don't know, Murdo.
Do you know what I mean? No, people are saying, once you're all calmed down.
I think he needs,
the manager
I
still
just
nails
think he
that.
needs to vent his
But
anger.
the game's
anger.
different now.
I think he needs to
Is
vent
it
his
not?
anger at somebody, and if he doesn't vent it at players, he's got to vent it at his sidekick.
So what would you do
If he starts shouting at John Kennedy, John's going to be like,
If that's you, if you're Neil, do you go to Peter Hallwell or Dermot and say, look, everything's fine, the coaching's fine, but I need to bring another guy in to stand with me on the touchline?
I think at the moment we're missing the point about the players. There's a lot of players out. No, it's no mean excuse. I don't mean that in that way, but there is a lot of players out, and with the COVID and with everything else, injuries. So maybe he can't put his best 11 on the pitch. I mean, I don't know
That's
what
a
the
fair point,
situation.
yeah.
You know, I don't know, and that's
Well, your main strikers.
so. But what it's showing is there's some boys coming in are not good enough. I mean, listen. This is the
But
first.
again,
This is the first year.
but
This
what
is the
we're
first
doing-
year, Murdo,
what-
that they've got a challenge, and it's the first time that some of these boys have had to step up, and they've not stepped up yet. You know, they can.
But
cruise
just
it
what
every
you're
year.
talking about though, Frank, the amount of new faces that's at the club, and they're coming in, and
know if
people
they know
are
what
judging
it's
them
about.
right away. They're getting judged right away by the
Tough.
fans, and then the fans are just, I don't fancy him, I don't fancy him. Then no, it gets.
That's football, Murdo. That's, you
But,
know,
but
wait
look
till
at
the
Duffy.
fans- wait till the-
Duffy came into Celtic before he kicked a ball. He was a hero, and now
Yeah.
two
Well,
games he scored 2 goals, and then everybody's
Duff-
still raving about him.
We'll come on to him in a wee bit, but last point
If you
on
think
Neil
it's
Lennon,
tough,
guys.
If you think it's opinion.
Opinion.
Wait till the fans come in.
Yeah. Is he under pressure, Neil Lennon? I mean, is he
He's
really under pressure?
I don't think he's under pressure as a manager. No, I think the most he's under pressure from himself because he set so much high standards, and so his team, and the biggest problem is these standards are not getting met this season. You know, no matter what way you've won, they've won all the games, but the standards are not there, and I think that's going to be hurting Neil more than anything because it was them that set these standards. These players, they can go there, they can rise to that, you know. And I just think as be the captain. Better people than me have wrote the captain off before, and it's come back to bite him because I think a wee rest. I don't know if he's going to get any trouble this afternoon. There's a meeting about him this afternoon, which will be ridiculous if he gets any trouble. But a couple of games off, then he may come back refreshed, and but I think he's got to be there.
Murdo, what about you, Neil? You're a man that knows about the pressure of a 10-in-a-row season. Now he'll be feeling pressure, but under pressure, surely not about his job.
No, not at all. I don't think so. I was surprised even reading when people are not, on social media and all that kind of thing, that people having a go. Things do happen. We even looked at last season, when Rangers went to Celtic Park and won, and then everybody's all panicking and said, it's time for change and all this kind of thing. Then they had the break, and then Celtic just went on a magnificent run, and then Rangers were left miles behind.
Yeah.
So these things happen in football. You never get a medal at this time of the year. You don't win trophies at this time of the year. You go through maybe a wee bad spell now and again. You're looking at playing against Rangers, your greatest enemy, AC Milan and Aberdeen in a week. That's 3 tough games. And you've not got your main strikers, you've not got your main centre-backs, you've not got your main right-back even. So that there's a lot of players missing.
Yeah.
But Lenny will be angry deep inside watching the way they've played because the attitude's not been a fight in Celtic. They've not worked hard enough. And it just, when you just see wee glimpses of them.
It's not just the 3 games. They've won a lot of games, but they've not played well.
Yeah.
And that's what.
So
that'll be hurting Lenny. I
yeah,
think. But
improvement
I
needed,
think
but
the only one
early in
that
the
can put him
season
under pressure
is himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Listen, guys, just before we move on to the next, personally, I think the choice of Lenny and Johan would be a good thing. somebody to lean on, somebody that he knows. I don't think. Listen, I think John Kennedy's a terrific coach, and the staff they've got is fine. But I still think you need your own man, and they can lighten it up a bit. But I mean, I've fell on the wrong end of them a few times. I remember. Listen to this, right? I remember one time I was at the team with Lenny and Johan, and I was grumping about a bit, and somebody asked me to do something, and I says, "No, I'm not doing it because I'm not in the first team." And I got back to the manager. So Johan comes into the dressing room at Lennoxtown, comes in and he says, "Well, Gaffer wants to see you in changing room 4 at Lennoxtown." I thought, changing room 4, that's not where you want to go, because that's where there's no witnesses about. So I walk in and says, "Okay." So Johan walks in ahead of me, opens the door and you go, walks in ahead of me, and the manager's in there. I hear the door snap going behind me, and Johan's standing at the door behind me. I thought, this isn't good. This is not good. And he sat me down, and he says, "What's going on?" And I says, "Just not happy at not playing." And but such and such asked you to do this thing, and you should have done. Then I went pear-shaped after that for myself. So the two of them, knew how to manage the situation. Gave me a real going over for the thing I should have been doing and why I wasn't in the team. And then they were quite quick to then realise the situation, put their arm around me, and we need the best out of you. We need to be, and it was a brilliant partnership.
Yeah.
I went out feeling bad about myself, what I'd said I wasn't going to do, and I thought, right, okay, I've let these guys down, but I just showed how the two of them worked.
He's not got that. He's not got that now. Listen, no disrespect, John. He's not got that with John. As you say, John's a good coach, but he's no Lenny's mate. He's no in there with Lenny, and I just think you need that. I think he's because it's for his insanity, because he's under pressure, and for himself, but he knows.
You just need
Celtic. You're under pressure as soon as you take a job. You drop 2 points. You're under pressure. It doesn't matter.
But Frank, I'm saying about the games, the last 3 games, and now you're looking at another game Thursday night.
Oh, they just keep coming. They just keep coming.
Then a semi-final at the weekend.
They're huge. But every game's it's like that at Celtic. But moving on to the next point. Shane Duffy and Scott Brown. Okay, we'll pick up there now. Shane Duffy. I mean, he's took a bit of a pasting this week. I'm reading comments in the paper. Chris Commons, ex-Celtic player, ranked him as, or labelled him, should I say, ranked rotten. Worse than Effie Ambrose, he says. Now, Frank, what do you make of those comments?
I think it's wrong for any professional to do that. I mean, call somebody ranked rotten. The boys played in the Premiership. He hasn't. Chris hasn't. He's not been doing there. He's set the board on fire. So this boy's been about. He came up with Scotland. He didn't realise how quick it is. He obviously hasn't realised, and there's a few players come up for England that couldn't do it. He touched top with Joey Barton, a wonderful player in England, but couldn't do it up here.
I've played with a fair share of them as well.
So it happens. But the boys come up here. He come out to do a job, and the job that he get brought up to do, he's not doing. I keep comparing him to Mick McCarthy, who I played with. He wasn't the quickest in the world. No nonsense player. And like the one at the weekend, 92nd minute, winning the game. Instead he tried to flick the ball off his head. Mick would never have tried that, but he just touch it out of the park. Touch it out of the park, get regrouped, and then we win the game. And that's what I thought he was coming up to do. He thinks he could just come up. Now, I think he'll get better because he's not going to get any worse because there's some of the situations. So that's him. And I think he'll get better. I think
it's strange, Frank, when you go to a new club, and then you score in the first game, and you score from a set play in the second game, and then you're thinking, then he's saying, "Oh, as long as the delivery is good, I'll score." He's given himself a challenge, and then since then it's been downhill.
It's not so much.
You think it's a bit of a cheap shot for Chris Commons? What do you think?
By the way, he shouldn't be doing that. No, again, it sells whatever
no
newspaper.
professional should be doing that. So
you shouldn't be saying that.
Yeah. Listen, I believe what you're saying, Frank. I think
I feel sorry for Effie.
I think he will get better.
By the way, what I didn't know, Effie Ambrose never played in an Old Firm game.
Did he not?
5 years at Celtic.
Is that right?
Never played in an Old Firm game.
So they didn't trust him. There you go.
Oh, he played him in every other big
The best
European
one- the
game,
best
didn't he?
one-
They
I know.
did, and they always, the thing about Effie, you always knew you were the opposition were going to get a
Of
chance.
course he did.
See, I didn't play with Effie Ambrose, right? But see all my ex-teammates, because I left and Effie came in, so I still kept in touch with all the boys. All the boys raved about Effie Ambrose. Says he was unbelievable in
Just
training,
makes a mistake,
and just in a
You get
game he would
defen-
switch off.
You get defenders like that, and you, as a striker, you go, he's going to give me a chance.
Yeah.
But that's the problem with Celtic, and probably Shane Duffy just now, is every mistake he's making is actually being punished. Sometimes you do get away with
I
them,
know.
but it's just a period in time that everything's getting punished.
He's getting pelted, as you say, social media. The funniest
But he's a
one-
strong boy. You know, he's strong mentally.
The funniest one I seen that day was they were blaming Peter Lawwell because Neil wanted Shane Duffy for Brighton and they bought Shane Duffy for Westlife. I thought, brilliant.
Oh, that's not going to do his confidence any good, is it, Frank? You said that.
He's going to laugh at that. I mean, listen, he's going to laugh at
Nah,
that.
he's a strong character. I mean, he's
guy.
what Republic of Ireland
He's
skipper.
By the way.
He played in big games. And he's a the biggest problem, we were talking about it earlier off air, Brighton played with a defence. They like playing along the 18-yard line. They were defending
Just
all
defend
the
their
time
box.
and defend the box. Celtic push out, so that's not in his game. So he's got to get used to that.
Yeah, yeah.
It's something that he's not done for years and years.
Especially,
And that's
Frank,
what
when
he's-
it's been down to 3 defenders. Because when you're doing that and you're squeezing up, then it's allowing the opposition to come down the sides.
I know.
And then you can stretch the 2 centre-backs, that the one in that side can get sorted out.
You need
And that-
you need players that
You
are
need
comfortable,
players.
centre
You need-
halves that are comfortable getting into the wide areas. and
Can
you're
I
going
say
to
as
do
well
that.
Aya
just
should be
now,
getting it,
I would like to
left
say
and
that
right.
I think Aya is looking better just now.
Yes,
Because I
man.
think he's taking more responsibility with what's going on round about him.
I think once that transfer window shut, Ayer's head firmly got on staying at Celtic
He's-
rather than
look at- he's
playing for AC
more
Milan.
comfortable now.
Yeah,
And I think Lenny's had a wee word with him because it's when they started the second half against Aberdeen, the amount of times he was just taking off
Yeah.
and running the full
that's what-
length. And it
and
was,
somebody spoke
it was
about
his
it.
cross
Get
into
the
the
penalty
box
from it. Aye,
to get
you're
a
right.
penalty.
But
You're
we,
right.
we spoke about it last week. He never went forward, and we thought it might be because Welsh was pushing forward and he couldn't get through. And what he done at Aberdeen, especially in the second half, he was going there. I thought he was running and just that's what you want from him.
Aye, of course, that's
You know,
his strength,
that's
innit?
his strength.
Another major talking point on Sunday was quite a surprise when I seen the team lines, such an important game, away from home, must win, and you're a must-win fixture with Scott Brown not playing. Now, what do we think about that? Was that the right decision? Do you think Scott should, no matter how he plays, he should always be in there for his influence, or
No,
do you
I
think it's right to
I think
take
his
him out
I
a
think
game or
his
two?
influence- I would have played him. I'd have played him in there. But you know what? I'm a big fan of Roger as well. So and I thought it was magnificent. So he came in with Christie.
But in Cham
know,
probably
Cham.
played the Scott Brown role, didn't
Yeah.
he, on Sunday?
I thought he'd done all right. You know, I thought the
And Cham?
midfield- I don't think there was any.
Give away the penalty.
You sound a wee bit surprised there.
Did that come across surprise, Murdo?
Yeah, it
I
did,
didn't mean it that way.
I thought he'd done all right, but I think he plays well with Scott Brown.
Who in Cham does
I
plays
think,
well with
I
Scott
think
Brown.
the two of them play well together, you know.
Yeah.
So I think there's players that you could leave out. I mean, Scott Brown's get left out the weekend. You know, as your captain, he's on the bench. You'll not be happy about that. But listen, as I said earlier, we've wrote Scott off before, and you know, I won't do it because he's better than that.
What do you think, Murdo?
I
think you
Scott
should always
Brown
be in there?
Always
Yeah.
in it. Your captain's
Yeah.
your captain. That's why he's in the team all the time. You know what I mean? And he's got to be there. And over the years, when Scott Brown's not in the team, we look at Celtic and think, who's guiding this side? Who's the leader out in the park? Because Callum McGregor, fantastic football player, but he's not a Scott Brown. He's not got that attitude because Scott Brown's the one who pushes every single
Well,
player.
it shows at
But it
McDermott
was-
Park where it was crisis time and Neil brings him on and they get the result, and it was crisis time on Sunday and Neil brings him on again, and it looks like
Yeah.
it's the right decision again, albeit for the last minute
He
equaliser.
was
But why
injured
should
and
you have?
suspended.
Yeah, why have you got
Well,
to
he's
do that?
well,
'Cause
he's
not
the
in
same age
pitch.
as me. What is he? 35 now. Maybe he just can't play 3 games of that
Well,
magnitude
maybe
a week.
that's what I would think. That's what I would think. I mean, you look at somebody talking about somebody that's older than that. I mean, Ibrahimovic on eight, he didn't do the runs he was used to do, but it was magnificent.
Yeah.
Just being on the pitch, and that's what you get for Scott Brown. I think.
Yeah.
Just his influence on the park You know, I think
He needs to be there, you think,
He
every
needs to
game?
be there. And as I said, I've watched Celtic over all the years, and if Scott Brown's not in the team, there's something missing. Even when they win and they play well, there's something missing.
So even if he's personally not playing well, you still persevere with him and keep him in there.
Because, by the way, someone of his character, Scott Brown, he knows himself if it's not happening, but he pushes himself even more when he's not playing well. He'll push himself running about, but he'll have a look at his teammates and he'll push them on. Because I think that's
well, at the moment,
major
I
thing.
think a lot of players feel sorry for themselves. I really do. I think they look at themselves and they're going,
Name names, Frank. Name names.
but
Come on.
But listen, that's when you need
Mark
Scott
Eve-
Brown. You need Scott
To
Brown
pull
in
them.
it, to pull them out and say, here, stop feeling sorry for yourself. We've got a challenge.
'Cause
And
I-
you need to get up for it.
And Sham beside Scott Brown, I don't like that. I'd rather Scott Brown on his own in the space behind the midfield, especially when you're playing three at the back. So Scott Brown's an extra one in there. But if you start taking one of your midfielders and taking them back beside Scott Brown, Celtic, when they're under pressure, you know what to change the side. Playing the top sides, AC Milan, Rangers, Aberdeen, when you're playing against these top sides, you know you're going to be put under pressure.
Yeah.
So Scott Brown's always there. But when you've got Sham there, you're taking one away from the middle
I
of the
think
park.
I just think him and McGregor, the success they've brought in that position for Celtic, I don't think it's finished yet. I still think they can play that
I think
pretty
they can.
comfortably for Celtic this season. But I think it's too much changing now. You
We
know,
touched on it last week about the strikers, McGregor. If you've not got people making these runs for you to get it into, I thought Rogic done it, magnificent, getting the ball and passing it and doing the reverse pass for, was it Griff that scored that one?
great ball, great vision.
Great ball. So when was the last time we seen that?
Can I
McGregor
jump in
does
now?
that a
Can
lot.
I jump in again about Rogic? How does he never last 90 minutes?
Well, I can understand he lasted, but the second half he came off, but
Frank, I'm going back to since he arrived at the club.
I know.
I think if you look at the amount of times he's been
I'm gonna be
taken
honest-
off
I'm gonna be
in
honest with you,
60 odd
there's
minutes.
a lot of times you get took off when he shouldn't have been getting took off.
Oh, I don't know.
Just a habit. It can't be a habit from two managers. Brendan Rodgers took him off at 60 minutes every
all the
week.
time.
I know,
all the time.
I know, but it's one of them. I think the referee just puts the number up. Just knows him.
Listen, if he does his best work in 60 minutes and creates goals, then fine.
It's the same as Paddy McCourt. People say he couldn't last. So I don't get he couldn't last. What a player he was, and he's saying he couldn't last the 90 minutes. I'm going, why?
I seen Paddy try to do 4 minute runs and that. But Game of Boy was sensational.
But by the way, all these boys, Tom Rogic, I'm sure, in training, he'll be able to do everything, and it's all.
Surely he's just game stamina.
through the-
But look, they've no shortage of players in that position they
but
can
by
put
the
on.
way,
You can put in Cham there, you can put Christie
I know, but
there,
doesn't
you've got
do your
Turnbull.
favour any
Turnbull's
good.
not even.
Turnbull's
Doesn't
now.
do your any favours when you keep getting took off. I mean, I don't care who you are. You keep getting took off. It's no.
I know,
bloody-
I know.
I used to sit and watch Brendan every time, 60 minutes, he's like that, and Rogic.
He comes off.
I always wondered if that came
Head
from
down.
the sports scientists or the medical team, that this guy, you'll get the best of
doesn't
him.
last.
The
That's
game's all
where
about
it'll come.
stats now. The game's all about these vests that they wear, and that's his maximum. When they get to this point, you're risking injuries, so take him off. Maybe, I don't know. But anyway, it's, again, a big week, okay, so personnel, shape, big week, we spoke about it.
Yep.
On to Wheel on Thursday night and Aberdeen on Sunday. So huge games. Look, Thursday night, Murdo.
Yep.
I mean, it's a tough place to go.
Very tough.
Right now, would you take a draw? Let's start on a positive. Would you take a draw?
I would take a draw.
By the way, anything like that, you would take a draw just now. You need something. Do you know what I mean? You need something. But again, there's.
They're working on the back at the moment. 7 at the back.
You've got
7. That was my breaking team before I left.
but you're looking at the weekend as well. But playing for Celtic,
Every game.
got to win every
Yeah.
game. Home and away, it doesn't matter who you're playing. But when you're playing against the European ties, against the top quality sides, that's difficult. Then you've got to focus for the Aberdeen game.
Yeah. The thing is, well, that's the big
Semi-final
argument.
Scottish
The big argument is
that's
this
a phone
Thursday,
buzzing in the
Sunday.
pocket.
I know. the Thursday, Sunday games are quite a talking point this year because it's the 10 in a row year. usually the Celtic fans will say, no, listen, Thursday night Europa League or Wednesday night Champions League is equally important, if not more important, because of the stature of the club. But you think there's an element of the fans that are thinking, Thursday night, we don't even care. We want it domestically as our...
It's very easy for them not to care at the moment because they're not getting in.
I suppose, but they still like playing against the prestige teams and doing well.
I think they'd be... last week, AC Milan, Celtic Park. Can you imagine the atmosphere that would have been there if... and none of the supporters would have been saying, we don't like it. We don't like it. They want them. They want their nights. And it doesn't matter if it's Europa League or the Champions League. They want the Champions League, obviously. But when you're coming up against teams like that,
AC Milan. AC Milan's one thing with the name, but Lille's one of these tricky ones that I think supporters will go. It's Lille. They've not won any Champions Leagues and they've not won any Europa Leagues, so it's just Lille. But they're joint top of the French League with PSG. A decent side.
Class. No, they're better than decent. Do you know what I mean? They're as good as AC Milan. Do you know what I mean? It's that quality. It's going to be on the pitch against the Celtic team. So they've just got to go and battle. They've just got to, and it's difficult. You can't pick and choose your games that you're going to play well in. You've just got to think you're going to play well in every game.
Yeah.
I think Celtic's just got. I think each and every one of them, they've just got to get back to basics and do what they're good at.
Yeah.
And stop trying, 50-yard passes and things that's, we want to just get
keep
back
it
to
simple,
basics,
revert back to normal. Yeah.
And then that's where, because then they get confidence back, and I think that's what's needed, just a wee bit of confidence.
A wee bit of confidence. Murdo, for you, though, Sunday, a more important game than Thursday. The chance, one step away for getting to a final, another a quadruple treble. Nobody's ever. Has nobody ever? Am I right in saying nobody ever won the Scottish Cup 4 times in a row? No. A chance again to be history makers, and that could really kickstart your season.
Well, that's the thing. It lifts the whole club, all the players that's in the squad. If you can get to a cup final, and you know what it's like, Frank. All the games before the cup final, you're desperate to play all the games. So you're going to play in the cup final because the squad just now, it's a big squad just now, and if you're in the team just now, you want to keep in the team. So you've got to perform.
Yeah, but Aberdeen, Frank, dangerous because they look at Sunday's game. They obviously take heart for it. They know Celtic's deficiencies just now.
Derek McInnes knew exactly what was going to happen at the weekend. He knew the way they were going to play. He knew where the problems, and you got to give credit to him. There's players coming back for the weekend anyway, and there'll be players back at the weekend.
You'd hope so.
Is Edward coming back?
Well, the thing is about Edward, we don't actually know how he is. A half-fit Edward, but what he's been through, we don't actually know. But it leads me on then. And Sunday, guys, do you think it's a must-win? I think Thursday night's slightly different, but Sunday, is that a must-win for Neil?
I think every game.
I know they're all must-win, but particularly with the week we've had, Murdo.
Yes. I think if you're looking, what trophies is Celtic going to try to win this year? You're looking at the Scottish Cup. You're looking at Europa League. I don't think that's in their agenda just now.
Do you think? I think they're right. I think they're
right. I think when you look at the two sides, the first two sides they've got already is two Champions League sides.
I think Celtic playing at their best would have given AC Milan a better game than what they give them. I think there's no AC Milan. It's not AC Milan that we know and love and watch for years.
I would agree, Frank. If you were playing at Celtic Park and full house, see if it's full house, I think that gives the team a massive lift.
The team can play a lot better than that. That's what I'm saying. The team can play it, as I said earlier, the standards that they've set themselves. It's not anyone else who's set these standards, it's them. So because they've dropped below these standards, you can't blame managers.
Yeah.
It's players. It's, they've got, and they must be knowing that they're not doing it.
But they've all got to dig deep just now.
Of course, the manager as well.
Every player is picked for the team to the starting 11. They've got to dig deep.
I think we've all been there. Crisis time at Celtic. It's not easy, but I guess that's why you're brought to Celtic, because you're strong enough to deal with it.
That's the thing, to deal with it, and then Lille game, and then going to play Aberdeen in the semi-final.
Yeah,
and that you're looking at that, but then.
The
most important thing is win the league.
Yeah, of course. Are we predicting a better week than we did last week then? For Thursday and Sunday?
I think they'll win. I think they'll win semi-final. That's for sure.
Win the semi-final.
I would love to go in. Yeah. I think Leo, some of the players coming back, give them a run out. I think they've got to get them back in there and get them.
I think so. So play a not a second string team, but play guys that are coming back.
I would play the majority of
and
the boys
save
in
your
place
starting
are-
lineup
yeah.
for Sunday?
I think I don't know, but I don't know what the dressing room's like. You know, I know when I played in my dressing room, everybody wanted to play every single game. There's none of this rotation. You don't want to play and you get dropped. Simple as that. You know, and I can't understand this. I get some of the players and saying, like Scott Brown, if he was left to the team, might have been tactical, as you say, it might not be able to play 3 games in a week. He might want him for Leo. I don't know why. I would have wanted him at Pittodrie. That's where I would have wanted. I thought it was a certainty to start. But as I say, we can't rate him off. He might not play him on Thursday and say you're playing on Sunday.
Yeah.
You know that, and then so Scott knows, and he's on the bench just because he's influencing the team.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know,
Well, listen, big week ahead, and we'll be here to talk about it next week. But thanks very much, guys. I think we've covered everything. So thanks to Murdo MacLeod for joining us, Frank McAvennie again.
Mark.
Thanks for tuning into the Celtic Huddle podcast. I'm Mark Wilson. Hopefully be back next week with more insight and reaction to the week gone by.